Hey y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel. My name's Amanda, and in today's video, Jen and I are going to read the scariest book on our TBR, thanks to my husband who picked that prompt. Just in case you missed our October TBR, my husband Jay picked some prompts from a list that I provided. But he picked some prompts for us to read for our Halloween book challenge. And one of the prompts he picked was Scariest Book on our TBR because he knows I have a ton of books on my physical TBR. They are all over my house. They are boxes in the attic. They are everywhere. And he had to help box some of them up and move them to the attic so he knows how many I have. So he picked Scariest Book on TBR. And I don't blame me, and I'm actually really excited about this. Now, I have several horror books and dark fantasy books that I could have chose from. But ultimately, I have chosen one of my favorite horror authors. I've read 2 of his books, and as far as I know, only 2 of his books under this name have come out. And I've read them both. Well, actually 3, because plus the one I'm going to be reading today. The first book was a 5-star. The second book was 4.5 stars. So I am really have high hopes for this book. And that is going to be none other than Mr. Lullaby by Mr. J.H. Markert. I just cannot wait to read this book. I didn't feature this book. For some reason, I didn't grab it and put it in my list of potentials in the TBR video. But when I was looking through my books, I thought, duh, this is the obvious choice because I have been dying to read this book. Jen actually got me a personalized autographed copy for my birthday. On the inside, it actually says, "To Amanda, best wishes, the hive is alive," signed by J.H. Markert. So very cool book, and I cannot wait. I think maybe I've put this one off just a tiny bit because Jen had said she didn't like this one as much as the others. So that kind of made me think maybe I won't like it as much, but I'm sure it's fantastic because I honestly don't think he could put out a novel that's not fantastic. He's my favorite horror author right now, and I can't wait to read this book. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. By the way, if you recognize this shirt from our first Halloween challenge vlog video, it's because I just finished filming my wrap up for that video and I'm jumping right into this one. So I'm not wasting any time. I'm just going right from book to book. I am in the mood for some spooky reads and I can't wait. And this sweatshirt, I'm going to shout it out, is from another booktuber, I think, designed it and has it for sale in her shop. And her name's Leandra TBR0, and I will link her channel below if you want to check out her channel. But she came out with this super cute sweatshirt, and I have to get it. And I'm going to keep wearing it because you can only wear it really around Halloween time. It's really only appropriate to wear, I guess. It's really only festive. It's really only festive to wear around Halloween time. So I'm going to probably wear the crap out of this sweatshirt until Halloween. And I love it. So there you have that. But anyways, we're going to just jump right into reading Mr. Lullaby.
We are on to Halloween challenge number 2, which is the scariest book on our TBR. I have chosen A Mask of Flies, and this one's by Matthew Lyons. Haven't read this author before. The cover really got me. And 2 of my friends, we usually read a book at the same time and discuss it. And we had decided to do this one, and it just fit for this challenge. So 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm going to quickly read what it's about because I feel like it does a better description than what I would say. This is what it says it's about. A pulse-pounding crime horror epic about a criminal on the run, the deadly secrets she unearths along the way, and the sinister monster from her past that has gotten a taste for her blood and won't sleep until she's dead. In the grisly aftermath of a botched bank heist, career criminal Anne Heller has no choice but to return to her family's cabin, a secluded shack in Colorado's San Luis Valley, and the site of her mother's untimely death. Along for the ride are Jessup, Anne's badly wounded partner, and Dutch, the police officer she's taken hostage. As they wait for help, Anne discovers strange relics from her mother's past and begins to unfold the mystery of her childhood at the cabin. Then Jessup goes missing, only to turn up dead. Anne and Dutch bury her friend, but that night, he comes back and knocks at the cabin door. Not a dream, not a hallucination, but not exactly Jessup either. Something else, something wearing her friend's face, something hungry. And that just sounded really strange. It's almost like a Pet Sematary Stephen King vibe, I feel like. So this one I'm going to dig into. Before I get to dig into it, I have to get my nails done today. I'm definitely going to do something fall, which I can show you guys. But I love my nail technician, Holly. I've been going to her exclusively now since I moved to Dayton back in 2019. But I actually didn't start going to her because I moved here like towards the end of 2019. I went after pandemic, after I was done with chemo, because you can't really do anything with your nails, and it was the pandemic anyway. No one could go really anywhere. I started going to her like late 2020. She is fantastic, but she is the cutest little girl. Her little girl loves Miss Rachel. It's this show. I've never seen it because I don't have kids, but I was at Barnes & Noble and they had a new picture book, and it's Miss Rachel, and I thought I would get that for her. But they also had this cute little doll, so I got her this too. They also had some free stickers for Miss Rachel. If you have kids, I'm sure you know who Miss Rachel is. It seems to be a very popular TV show along the lines of, like, I would say like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, kind of. There were videos on, I think, TikTok or somewhere where they were showing like babies as soon as Miss Rachel's on the screen and talking. Like, babies get so happy and they just respond to her. So I am going to bring that stuff to her, but I will show you guys my fall manicure afterwards. And then I'm going to dig into a Mask of Flies, and I'll let you guys know how it is. Oh my God. Holly did such a good job. Fall colors. Looks like falling leaves on my nails. They're so cute. I'm gonna take you guys to Target. I think they're having a book sale, which isn't the reason why I'm going. I gotta pick up some stuff. Even though it's a Saturday, I have all weekend off after getting my manicure, which is super, super cute. Thanks, Holly. I am going to spend the rest of the weekend after doing some errands reading. So I will be checking in. Alright, I'm back. As you saw, I did get some candles. I got one that's pink champagne, and it smells so good. A sugared pear. It smells so good. What's funny is it's fall and it's 80 degrees outside. It's gonna get a lot cooler this coming week, and during the winter, I love doing candles so much. And I didn't go there for candles or for the books that I'm about to show you, but I had to go for a bunch of different like toiletry items, and I'm not going to show you those, but there is something that I got. I am such a sucker for just walking around Target. So I usually do pickup because I end up putting lots of things in my cart that I shouldn't. But I found this lip butter and it's watermelon. Stuff like this always gets me, I swear. No surprise. Lisa Unger, Secluded Cabin, Sleep 6. Say that 3 times fast. I've been wanting to read this. We just did a Lisa Unger vlog and I just mentioned this one and I saw it was the last one sitting there. So I feel like it was just calling to me, even though it was buy 2, get the 3rd free. And I buy 4 books like a monster. To Geneva Rose. I read Geneva Rose for the first time this year and it had such a really cool package. It's mostly what drew me to it, but the story was also really good. And I really want to read more by her because I feel like people keep talking about The Perfect Marriage and I haven't bought it. She has a sequel to this coming out next year called The Perfect Divorce and You Shouldn't Have Come Here. So those are the other ones that I got. And then of course I got 4, even though the sale was buy 2, get the 3rd free. And this one is All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. I had found her A Flicker in the Dark in a little free library, I think during our first one. And I still need to read this one. I don't even know if I'll like her. Do you guys ever do that?
Nope. No, I have no idea what that's like. I don't know what Jen was thinking.
Where I feel like I get sucked in by the story. I end up getting a bunch of books just sitting on my TBR. So I grabbed that one too. And I got the bookmark because it just looked cute. And I don't know if you guys saw, it was like a little bookshop area. Everything was out. I feel like their book merchandising, I know it's a Saturday, but it was kind of crazy and reminded me of how you usually see things at Walmart. I feel like it needed some love, but that was the last thing that I got. The next thing I'm gonna do, I'm off all weekend, is I'm gonna dig into A Mask of Flies. So I'll let you guys know how it is. I'll have an update.
So yesterday, I don't know what came over me, but I just couldn't stop reading Mr. Lullaby. I read more than half of the book. The book is just really good. It's not like it has short chapters that end on cliffhangers and you have to like compulsively read it, but the book is just drawing me in. I'm just really enjoying it. So there are some mentions of Nightmare Man, which I think is really cool because that was his first book that I read and I loved. Nightmare Man was 5 stars for me. That was my favorite J.H. Markert book so far. But really enjoying this one. In this one, you're following a couple of different people. You're following Gideon, who is a war hero, and he has come back home to his hometown because he was injured while at war. And then you're following Beth, who has been friends with Gideon, and she has stayed in her hometown and lived there her whole life. She's now a very high-ranking police officer, detective in this city. I think she's chief of police, maybe even. So yeah, she's really moved up. I mean, these kids are young, so I wouldn't say young. They're like, I think she's 24 or 23. Anyways, she is married and has a kid. And this is the town that the tunnel is in. And just weird things happen with this tunnel. People go in and don't come out. There was a train derailment right around the tunnel where bodies went missing. There's just all kinds of odd things all throughout history that has been happening. And even someone that lives in the town, they call him Simple Simon because they don't think he's very smart. He doesn't talk a lot. And it even refers to him as kind of like the guy from Sling Blade, like Billy Bob Thornton from Sling Blade, like the way he talks, his voice, and he doesn't talk very much at all. So they call him Simple Simon, but he actually has found like really weird animals around that tunnel, like weird colored animals and things. So yeah, there's just some odd stuff going on around this tunnel, and you're following the story of these people and how this tunnel connects to the city. You're also getting the point of view of a man that seemingly has kind of gone crazy. You think he's crazy. I mean, he's very violent, has very violent tendencies, so there is something mental going on, but he's not crazy. And he's got these weird, like, he's sprouting horns on his head. So I don't know. I don't want to go any further. I don't want to tell any more. All of that stuff is very, you know, in the beginning of the book, you kind of find all that stuff out. So it's not really spoilers for anything, but it's just I'm just like sucked into this book. Like I just want to keep reading. So hopefully maybe I can finish the rest of the book today. I don't know. It seems like I could finish it. I am kind of busy today, so I might stretch it out between 2 days depending on how much time I have to read this evening. But really good so far. Really enjoying it. I mean, I didn't expect anything less from J.H. Marker. He is right now top of mind, my absolute favorite horror author. Like I can't think of anyone that writes better horror books than him. So since my copy of Mr. Lullaby is very special to me and autographed, I downloaded the ebook from the Hoopla app on my tablet, and I'm gonna read on my tablet because I bring my tablet with me almost everywhere I go, and it's easier to carry around in the book, and I didn't want to risk damaging the book, like carrying it around, taking it places, throwing it in my purse, that kind of thing. So I downloaded it to my tablet, and I'm just gonna sit in the car for a little bit and read at the park and just enjoy the fresh air, have my window down, and just sit and read for a little while. I'm still loving this book. I just feel like it's just got the vibes. It's the perfect vibes for me right now, and I want to say layers. I love this book because it is very disturbing and horrifying, and it is gruesome, but not really like disturbingly gruesome. It's not like very graphic gruesome compared to some other horror books that I've read, but it's just so creepy. I'm just having a great time. This is a perfect spooky Halloween fall read.
100-page update. I am listening to this and reading this. I am going between each. I had joined Audible when we were doing the Lisa Unger vlog, and since Mask of Flies was on there, I tested, and I felt like it was an audio that I would be okay with. I don't know how you guys are with audio, but sometimes depending on the voice, I'm not always a fan of listening to an audio version. And even for this one, it's fine for the most part, but sometimes when they're doing like voices of some of the characters, it makes me kind of cringe. But for the most part, it's fine. I am enjoying it so far. The prologue and first chapter, I feel kind of drew me in. You see the main character at the very beginning. Her name is Anne, sometimes Annie. She's a little girl with her mother in the prologue, and they're at this house. You don't have all the details. It's a very short prologue, and something happens that's kind of creepy and scary, but she's little and you don't know all the details, but it sets up for the rest of the story for something to come back. You jump to, after the prologue, you jump to her in her 20s, and you don't get any context. You just get thrown into her as she is in the middle of a botched bank heist. She's with a group of people who you don't really know at first why the heist has gone awry, but she ends up on the run with one of the people that she had been holding up this bank with. A security guard ends up with them, kind of like a prisoner. They're on the run, and they're trying to figure out what to do to get away from the police and survive. The person, Jesse, I believe his name is, who is one of her friends slash fellow bank thief, he is very badly injured. They end up going to that same house that you saw in the prologue, and she didn't really intend to go there at first because she has bad memories from that place, but she starts to realize they don't really have anywhere to go. They end up at this place, and some very creepy things happen. Part of the reason that, I don't know if there's gonna be a further reason, but part of the reason why this is called Mask of Flies, you kind of see in a scene that's kind of graphic and very gross and very creepy. And whatever this being is, I don't know, there's no name for it at this point because they still don't even understand what it is. is reminding me of the thing in Josh Mallerman's incidents around the house. It's very similar to it. And they end up escaping and getting away from that house. And this could be a spoiler. I don't know if we should put spoiler alert for what I say next, because I didn't expect this. I thought they're going to end up at the house and like the rest of the book was going to end up being at this house, but they escape and the thing follows them. And that's why it reminds me of the Josh Mallerman book. At the part I am now, it is going a little slower and I'm not as invested at the minute because things have calmed down to whatever that being is, and it's more centered around the people involved in the bank heist and how they're going to divvy up the money that she did manage to steal. I don't know, some of that is just kind of boring me at the minute. So I'm going to keep going and I will give you guys another update in maybe another like 100 pages. I am 260 pages in. I've been reading it physically today since I am off and I'm not going anywhere. You're getting some backstory, some answers for what happened when she was little and what she remembers with her mom. There was I don't know if I talked about the VHS tape that she ended up watching about around the time when she was little and with her mom and escaping this being, this whatever this thing is that keeps haunting her. There's some things that I don't know if I want to talk about because it could be a spoiler, but I feel there is a plot. I don't know if I would call it a plot device. I think it's more of a plot point of something that I feel like keeps turning up in books that I'm reading, and I'm feeling like it's kind of exhausting. So I don't know if it's so much the book's fault as I somehow keep finding books that have this plot point in them. It's kind of when I was talking about books that keep having podcasts in them. I feel like after a while, there are certain plot points that you just get too much of or something. So it's not a podcast in this one, but there's a plot point in this one that I'm just like, oh, not again. And I was actually just talking about it with Hannah because I think she's going to be reading this too. And we both said like, we do feel like this plot point is in a lot of books. That's what's going on right now. I'm getting some backstory and it's still a little slower for me. I'm still invested. I still want to know what is going to happen, because that being is still out there somewhere and I'm sure it's going to show up because it is a longer book. It doesn't even feel like I'm halfway. Well, yeah, I'm halfway. I'm more than halfway. So it is over 400 pages. I feel like I'm not going to get done today, but I will give you guys another update when something significant happens.
All right, y'all, I have finished Mr. Lullaby and I really liked this book. I just really have loved all of J.H. Marker's books. This story, it just is it's so good. I don't know how else to explain it except tell y'all it's just really a good book. It's a solid horror story. I love the characters in this book. I think they all just fit together very well. All the characters' stories were believable. They were believable characters and they all fit together very well. The only thing that I kind of didn't enjoy about the book is you can see the setup for a potential love triangle and there is no romance. There is just, there's some backstory of kids that used to like each other or whatever. There's some backstory and there's a setup for potential love triangle, but there's no romance in this book. So don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying this is romance because it is absolutely not. There's no romance, but there's some tension between characters and there's a setup for potential triangle. And I don't like love triangles in books. I just don't think they read well for me. I just don't enjoy reading them. So that's just one tiny, very, very, very minute detail about the book that I didn't really enjoy, but that's just me personally. I know probably most everybody else is going to disagree with me on that aspect because it does sort of add another layer of storytelling to the book and the story, and I do love the layers. And J.H. Marker is one of those authors that is so good at building layers in a very simple way. I just he the way he writes his books, the way he structures his books, his characters in his books, it reminds me a lot of when I read Charlie Donnelly. And Charlie Donnelly is a mystery thriller writer. J.H. Marker is obviously a horror writer, but the way that they build their books is very similar in my opinion. Very different stories, very different styles, but their building blocks to these books are similar, and I just love both of them, and I absolutely loved this book. Of the three books, Nightmare Man, Mr. Lullaby, and Sleep Tight, this one's probably, if I had to pick, probably on the bottom of those three, just because I think it's a shorter story. It felt like the story wasn't that long. I wasn't in the story very long, and that's the only reason. Like, I feel like this is a lot shorter than Nightmare Man, and I read Sleep Tight on a tablet because I had the ARC, but I do feel like that book seemed longer. I've just really enjoyed all of his books. I love the way they are standalone novels. You can read them separately and in any order, but there is mentions of the other characters in the books strung throughout all three of his books. So it's kind of like they're all in the set place in the same world, in different locations, obviously in the United States, but set in the same world, and they kind of mention each other, but they're not at all linked. Like, you can read them all separately. But I love all his books, and I would say if you like horror, you should definitely pick up his books and give it a try. Actually, in the beginning of the book, he wrote other books. When I was showing you guys the signature page, you can see, I don't know if you noticed it from the beginning, but on the other page, there is a list of books he wrote as James Markert. So I don't know what kind of books these are. I don't know why he decided to switch his name, his pen name. But they could be more horror books. I'm not sure. But I might check out some of his other books as James Markert while we're waiting on another horror novel from J.H. Markert to come out, because I just really enjoy his writing so much.
It's time to wrap up Halloween challenge number 2. I finished A Mask of Flies, and I'm here to wrap things up. I didn't record again because there really wasn't another place that I feel warranted doing another recording. There was another visual that very much spoke to the title. I almost recorded for that, but it was in the middle of a lot of action and I was just too much involved reading that I didn't end up recording, and it was close to the end. So I figured I'd just talk about it here. I feel like this was just an average good book. It wasn't, to me, something that I would excitedly recommend to other people. I feel like I have read other books and have seen some horror films that had similar elements to it, and I didn't feel like it did anything new. So it just was entertaining, but it wasn't something above and beyond, at least for me. The ending, I wasn't looking for huge plot twist or anything like that, but I felt like the ending was just kind of there. I didn't feel like it was bad, and it helped wrap everything up. I wasn't really left with questions or anything, but it was just kind of soft, I guess is the best way to put it. It just ended up being kind of a meh book for me. And I don't know if I want to say unfortunately, because I wouldn't say it's a bad book. I enjoyed reading it. And I did read this or listen to this half on Audible, and I also read the book. And the narrator for this, to me, I felt did a really great job. There are some audiobooks out there that I feel like the narrator can really grate on your nerves, and sometimes I'll start listening to a book and think, no, I can't do this on audio. I have to read the physical book. I definitely feel like the narrator did a great job in narrating this book. So in conclusion, it was just kind of a meh book for me. I don't feel like this was one that I would be urging a ton of people to go out and read. It was just pretty average for a horror book. I mean, it definitely had a lot of graphic elements to it, but I feel like it was not doing anything really new. So it wasn't bowling me over with it being a great book. I still enjoyed reading it and doing it for this vlog, so thank you as you watched both of us read Scariest book on the TBR, And stay tuned for Halloween challenge number 3, where we are going to be reading a book that was inspired by a horror classic, I think is what it officially is. I gotta double check on that though. I know what I'm reading, but stay tuned for that one. It should be coming out, I'm thinking, probably at the end of next week, since Halloween's at the end of the week. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.